right here. Everybody wants to be a champion, but not everybody wants to train their mind like one. Muscles can make you strong, but mentality makes you unstoppable. If you don't have discipline, if you don't have focus, thing right here, if you don't have the will to fight, when things get hard, you'll never step into that champion zone. Today, I'm going to show you how to train your mentality like a champ, right? Because winning starts up here. Before it ever shows out there, discipline beats motivation every single day because motivation is a spark, but discipline is the fire that keeps burning long after the spark dies out. Right here, motivation feels good, it feels exciting, it makes you want to start, but the truth is, it never lasts. Motivation is like the hype you feel when you watch someone else succeed, when you see a highlight reel. Hey, when you listen to a powerful speech or see a movie that makes you want to get up and change your life. In that moment, your chest fills with energy, your mind gets flooded with visions of who you want to become right here, and you say to yourself, I'm ready, I'm going to do this. But then the next morning comes, the alarm clock rings, your body feels heavy, the bed feels warm, and that spark you felt yesterday isn't there anymore. That's when you realize motivation is temporary, it comes and goes, and you cannot build a championship mentality on some that disappears whenever life gets uncomfortable. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't care if you're motivated or not. Discipline doesn't care if you feel tired, stressed, sad, or lazy. Discipline is the system you build inside yourself that makes you show up no matter what. Right here, discipline is setting a standard for yourself and sticking to it whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is telling yourself, I don't care how I feel right now. This is what I said I would do right here, and I'm going to do it. That's the difference between the average person and a champion. The average person relies on how they feel, but the champion relies on what they decided. Think about the greatest athletes right here, the greatest leaders, the strongest people in history. They didn't wake up every single day excited, motivated, and ready to go. They woke up human, just like you. They felt the same resistance, the same laziness here, the same temptations, but what separated them was their discipline. They trained their body and their mind to move regardless of their mood. Champions don't wait for motivation. They create progress through discipline. Motivation is like the weather. It changes every day. But discipline is like the foundation of a house. It doesn't move no matter what storm comes. Let's take training in the gym as an example. Here, you can watch a bodybuilding video or listen to a hype song and feel motivated to go lift heavy. That's great for one day. But what happens on the days when your muscles are sore, your energy is low, or you're stuck at work all day and the last thing you want to do is train? That's where discipline steps in. Discipline is the voice in your head that says, get up, get dressed, right here. Go do what you need to do, even if every part of your body is screaming against it. Over time, that discipline builds strength, not just in your muscles, but in your mind. And that's what separates the weekend warriors from the true champions. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is logical. Motivation says, I feel like doing this right now. Discipline says, right here, I'll do it whether I feel like it or not. Motivation gives you the start, discipline gives you the finish. And when you think about it, finishing is what matters most. Here, nobody gets remembered for starting 1,000 times. They get remembered for finishing once with greatness. When you build discipline, you also build trust with yourself. That's something most people don't talk about. Right here, every time you tell yourself you're going to do something, but you let your feelings talk you out of it, you break trust with yourself. You stop believing in your own word. But when you choose discipline, even in small ways, right here, you prove to yourself that you can be counted on, and that self-trust grows. Champions trust themselves because they know they keep going no matter what. They know they'll push through even when it's tough. Right here, that's why discipline doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you unstoppable. Another thing about discipline is that it compounds over time. Every single disciplined choice stacks on top of the other until it becomes who you are. It's not just about the big moments, it's about the daily grind. Waking up early, eating the right food. Right here, practicing when nobody's watching, studying when you'd rather relax, saying no to distractions. That's what builds the mentality of a champ. Motivation might get you to do it once or twice, right here, but discipline gets you to do it every single day until it's automatic, and discipline is freedom. Even though it feels strict, people think discipline is punishment. Here, like you're forcing yourself into something you don't want to do. But real discipline is freedom. It frees you from being controlled by your moods, your laziness, your bad habits. Right here, it frees you from regret because you're not skipping the work you know you should be doing. It frees you from weakness because you're constantly sharpening your strength. Right here, discipline is what allows you to take control of your life instead of letting life control you. If you only rely on motivation, you'll always be chasing the feeling. You'll wait for the right mood, the right environment, right here, the right song, the right words to hype you up. But life doesn't wait for your mood to be perfect. Life is happening right now, and discipline is the tool that lets you take action no matter how you feel. That's why when people ask me the secret to success, I don't say motivation, I don't say luck, I don't even say talent, I say discipline, because discipline beats motivation every single day in every field. For every person who wants to win, if you want to train your mentality like a champ, you have to understand this simple truth: motivation is a visitor, discipline is a resident. Motivation comes to visit once in a while. Right here, it knocks on your door, it makes you feel good for a short time. But discipline is the one that lives with you every single day. It eats with you, it works with you, it wakes up with you. Right here, discipline is the true partner of greatness. You can't rely on visitors to build your future. You have to rely on the one that stays with you through everything. That's why discipline beats motivation. Right here, because when motivation leaves, discipline keeps you moving. When motivation fades, discipline carries the weight. When motivation disappears in the face of pain, discipline says, let's go again. And that's the mentality of a true champion. Pressure creates growth, not comfort, because the human mind and body were never designed to get stronger in a place of ease. Growth comes from friction, here from resistance, from the weight that feels heavy, from the challenge that feels impossible, from the situations that push you beyond what you thought you could handle. Comfort might feel good, it might feel safe, it might feel easy, but comfort is the enemy of change. Nothing great has ever come from someone sitting still in a place where they never had to struggle, never had to push, never had to sweat, never had to fight. Thing, right? Comfort is where you stay the same, but pressure is where you transform. Think about lifting weights. When you lift light weight that doesn't challenge you, your muscles stay exactly the same. They don't break. Here, they don't rebuild, they don't grow. But when you load up that bar with something heavy, when you put real pressure on your body, when your arms start to shake and your muscles feel like they're tearing, right here, that's when growth is happening. The body responds to pressure by adapting, by rebuilding itself stronger than before. And the mind works the exact same way. When life puts you under pressure, you're forced to adapt. Right here, you're forced to build resilience. You're forced to find strength you didn't even know you had. Pressure tests you, it challenges you, it asks you, did you really want this? Are you really serious about your goals? Here, are you willing to go through the fire for it? Comfort never asks those questions. Comfort just lulls you to sleep, keeps you where you are, convinces you that where you're at is good enough. Here, but champions don't settle for good enough. Champions look for pressure because they know pressure is what forges greatness. Diamonds are made under extreme pressure. Steel is hardened in fire, right here. And strong minds are created in the storms of life. Most people run from pressure. They see it as stress, as pain, as something to avoid. They think pressure is a sign they're doing something wrong, when in reality, right here, it's the best sign that they're on the right path. If your life feels too easy, too comfortable, too safe, that's a red flag. It means you're not challenging yourself, you're not chasing your potential. Here, you're not stretching your limits. Pressure is a gift, even though it doesn't feel like one. It's the thing that pushes you into a higher version of yourself. Without pressure, you'll never know what you're capable of. Right here, without pressure, you'll always be the watered-down version of yourself. Think about any great athlete. They didn't become champions by training easy, by lifting what felt light, by jogging at a slow pace, right here, by practicing at half speed. They became champions because they put themselves under a relentless pressure day after day, practice after practice, set after set. And right here, they went into the gym and loaded the bar with more weight than they thought they could handle. They went into the field and pushed harder than their body wanted to go. They pushed their lungs, their muscles. Hey, their minds past the point of comfort. That's why they grew. That's why they became something extraordinary. And the same thing applies to your mentality. You don't become mentally tough by living in comfort. Right here, you become mentally tough by facing challenges, by dealing with setbacks, by failing and getting back up, by walking straight into situations that make you uncomfortable and refusing to back down. Right here, every time life puts pressure on you, you have a choice. You can either break under it or you can use it to grow. Most people break, but champions rise. Pressure separates the weak from the strong. Right here, it separates the people who only talk about success from the people who actually earn it. Pressure also reveals who you are. Anybody can act confident, disciplined, and focused when things are going smooth. Here, when there are no obstacles, when everything feels easy. But the real test comes when the pressure hits. When money is tight, when time is short, when the competition is fierce, when your body is tired. Right here, when your mind is doubting you, that's when your true character comes out. Pressure strips away the mask. It shows whether you're built for this or not. If you crumble, it means you relied too much on comfort. If you rise, right here, it means you've trained yourself to see pressure as an opportunity, not as a threat. Pressure doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you smarter. When you're under pressure, you're forced to think creatively, right here, to find solutions you never would have found in comfort. It sharpens your mind because you can't afford to be lazy. You can't afford to be careless. Pressure forces you to adapt quickly, to grow in ways you didn't expect. Right here, some of the greatest inventions, breakthroughs, and performances in history came from people who were under extreme pressure. They had no choice but to rise, and that's exactly what they did. The truth is, right here, pressure is uncomfortable. It's not supposed to feel good. It's supposed to challenge you, to stretch you, to make you want to quit. But that's the beauty of it. When you feel that discomfort, right here, that's when you know you're in the right place. Champions get comfortable being uncomfortable. They train themselves to stay calm under pressure, to perform when the heat is on, to thrive when others fall. Right here, that's why they dominate, because while everyone else avoids pressure, they embrace it. You can look at your own life and see where pressure has shaped you. Maybe it was a hard time in school. Maybe it was a tough job. Right here, maybe it was a moment when you felt like you were about to break. But looking back, you realize that those were the moments that made you who you are. Those were the times that built your strength, your resilience. Right here, your determination. You didn't grow in the easy seasons. You grew in the hard ones. And if you want to keep growing, you can't hide from pressure. You have to step into it. Right here, pressure is also what separates potential from reality. A lot of people have potential. They have talent. They have skills. They have dreams. They have opportunities. But potential means nothing without pressure. Right here, pressure is what brings it out, what transforms it into performance. A piece of coal has the potential to become a diamond, but only if it goes through years of extreme pressure. Without that, it stays just coal. Right here, you might have greatness inside of you, but unless you let pressure shape you, that greatness will stay hidden. Pressure brings it to the surface. Pressure refines it. Pressure turns it into something undeniable. And here's the thing, pressure doesn't get easier, you just get stronger. At first, what feels unbearable becomes manageable. What feels impossible becomes normal. You adapt, you grow, you rise to the level of the challenge here. But the challenges never stop, because as soon as you overcome one level of pressure, life introduces a higher one. That's how you keep leveling up. Comfort keeps you stuck at the same level forever here. But pressure is the ladder that takes you higher and higher. If you want to climb, you need to accept that pressure will always be there. Most people live their whole lives trying to escape pressure, trying to build comfort right here, trying to avoid struggle. But what they don't realize is that by avoiding pressure, avoiding growth, they're trading strength for weakness, progress for stagnation, greatness for mediocrity. Right here, champions know the truth. Pressure is not the enemy alone. It's the training ground. It's the weight room for your mind, the gym for your spirit, the proving ground for your future. Without it, right, you'll never know who you could have been. Champions train the mind before the body, because everything starts in the mind first. Every rep, every step, every lift, every achievement, right here, it all begins with a decision you make in your head long before your body ever moves. The muscles don't fire until the mind tells them to. The body doesn't push until the mind commands it to. Right here, the vision doesn't become reality until the mind believes it. The mind is the general, the body is just the soldier. And if the general is weak, the soldier will never win the war. That's why the greatest athletes, right here, the strongest leaders, the most unstoppable people don't just train their bodies, they train their mentality every single day. If your mind quits, your body follows. If your mind says, I can't, your body listens here. But if your mind says, I will, your body finds a way to make it happen. That's the difference between someone who gives up halfway through and someone who keeps going until the job is done. Here, champions know the fight is won or lost before they even step into the arena, because the arena is just the stage where the mind's training shows itself. If you train your body without training your mind, right here, you're just building an engine without a driver. It might have power, but it doesn't know where it's going. It doesn't know how to control that power. It doesn't know how to keep going when things get rough. Here, but when the mind is trained, the body follows without hesitation. The mind is where discipline is built. The mind is where toughness is forged. The mind is where the vision of victory is created. Right here, you can't just show up with muscles and expect to dominate. You need to show up with a mentality that says, I'll outlast, I'll outwork, I'll outfight, I'll outthink. That's how champions move right here, because they understand the body only does what the mind allows. When you're tired, it's not really your body that's done. It's your mind telling you to stop. When you're in pain, it's your mind interpreting it as suffering. But champions train their mind to push through, to see pain as progress, to see exhaustion as growth, to see struggle as necessary. Every champion has moments where their body says, right here, that's enough, but their mind answers back, we're not done yet. That conversation decides everything. The person who listens to their body when It's tired, never reaches their full potential. Here, but the one who trains their mind to override the body discovers strength they never knew they had. That's how people break records. That's how they push limits. That's how they go further than anyone thought possible. Right here, they train their mentality first so that when the body tries to quit, the mind refuses to let it. Training the mind isn't about hype, it's about control. It's about controlling your focus, your emotions, your perspective. The mind can be your greatest weapon or your greatest weakness. If you let it run wild, it'll sabotage you with doubt, fear, excuses, distractions. But if you train it, it becomes sharp, it becomes disciplined. Right here, it becomes unstoppable. Champions practice focus like it's a skill. They guard their thoughts. They speak to themselves with power. They visualize success long before it happens. Right here, they program their mind with certainty so that when pressure hits, when the moment comes, their body is just executing what the mind already decided. Visualization is one of the ways champions train their mentality. Right here, before they step onto the stage, before they walk into the arena, they've already run the game in their head 100 times. They see themselves performing. They see themselves winning. Right here, they see themselves overcoming obstacles. By the time it happens in reality, their body feels like it's been there before. That's not just imagination, that's mental conditioning. That's how the brain builds confidence. Right here, how it prepares itself to act under pressure. Average people wait until the moment to figure it out. Champions train their mind, so when the moment comes, they're already ready. Here, another way the mind gets trained is through self-talk. The words you speak to yourself create the environment in your head. If you say, I can't, your mind shuts down. If you say, this is too hard, your body listens. But if you say one more rep, one more step, keep going, your body finds energy it didn't know it had. Champions don't just let any words fly through their head. Here, they guard their language like their life depends on it, because in many ways it does. They know the voice inside is the loudest coach they'll ever hear, and if that voice is weak, they'll crumble. But if that voice is strong, they'll rise. Training the mind also means training focus. We live in a world full of distractions, phones buzzing, people talking, problems stacking up. But champions learn how to lock in. Right here, they know how to block out the noise, how to put blinders on, how to stay in their lane, no matter what's happening around them. Focus is a mental muscle, and just like any muscle, it gets stronger the more you train it, right? Every time you resist distraction, every time you keep working, when you want to drift off, every time you say no to what doesn't serve you, you're training focus. That's why when it's game time, champions are unshakable, right? Here, because they condition themselves to stay locked in. Mental training also involves resilience. Life will hit you. It will knock you down. It will test your patience, your faith, your willpower. Without a trained mind, where those hits break you, with a trained mind, those hits just sharpen you. Resilience is built by repeatedly facing challenges and choosing not to quit. Champions don't avoid failure, they embrace it. Here, because every failure is training for the mind. Every setback is another rep in mental strength. They fall, they learn, they adapt, they rise again, and every time they do, their mind gets tougher. Right here, the body follows where the mind leads, and that's why you can see two people with the same physical ability, but completely different outcomes. One person gives up because their mind wasn't trained to handle adversity. Right here, the other keeps going because their mentality was unshakable. The difference isn't the body, it's the mind. That's why some people with less talent outperform the gifted, because they train their mind to never give up, to never doubt, to never back down. Champions also understand that training the mind is a daily practice, not something you do once and forget. Just like you train the body with repetition, you train the mind with habits. Right here, waking up early when you don't want to, finishing what you start, keeping promises to yourself, pushing through discomfort. Those are all mental workouts. Every time you do them, you strengthen the mental muscle, and over time, it becomes automatic. Champions don't rely on feeling strong mentally, and in the moment, they train it so deeply that it becomes who they are. When the mind is strong, it controls the body, but when the mind is weak, the body controls you. Most people live by what their body feels: tired, lazy, hungry, sore. Champions live by what their mind decides: disciplined, relentless, unbreakable. Right here, that's why they can push through pain, through fatigue, through fear. Their body may scream stop, but their mind whispers keep going, and the body obeys. Right here, and there are countless moments in training and in life where your body will feel like it's at its limit. Your lungs will burn, your legs will shake, your arms will fail, and everything inside of you will say stop. But in reality, you're not at your limit, you're at the limit your mind believes in. Science shows that the body can go far beyond what we think, but the brain puts a cap on it to protect us. Champions train their mind to expand that cap. Right here, to push past the false limits, to unlock levels of performance the average person never reaches. That's why they achieve what looks impossible here, because their mind is trained to see impossible as just another challenge to crush. Training the mind before the body is also about vision. The mind creates the picture of what you're chasing. If your vision is small, right here, your effort will be small. If your vision is powerful, your effort will rise to meet it. Champions think big. They see themselves as winners long before the world does, and that belief drives their actions. Then right here, the body won't chase what the mind doesn't believe in. So if you don't train your mentality to see yourself as capable, worthy, unstoppable, your body will never rise to that level. Breakthrough starts with the mind saying yes when everything else says no. The body will resist, the environment will resist, people will doubt you, but if your mind is unshakable, nothing can stop you. Champions are built mentally first, because when the body breaks down, when the world pushes back, when the pressure rises, only the mind can carry you through. That's why the mind must always be trained before the body here, because the body is the reflection of the mentality behind it. Consistency is the real strength, because anybody can show up once, anybody can push hard for a day, right? Anybody can get motivated and give their best effort in a single moment, but champions are built on what they do day after day, after day. True greatness doesn't come from the highlight, it comes from the grind, the repetition. Right here, the boring work that nobody sees, the commitment to keep going when the excitement is gone and the spotlight isn't on you. Consistency is what takes a dream and turns it into reality here, because success is not about what you do occasionally, it's about what you do relentlessly. Think about how muscles grow. You don't build strength from one heavy workout, you build it from training week after week. Month, year after year, your body adapts because of consistency, not because of a single effort. The same is true for your mentality. You don't become mentally tough from one hard day. Right here, you become mentally tough from showing up consistently, from practicing discipline, from proving to yourself over and over again that you can handle the pressure. The repetition rewires your brain. It builds habits. It ingrains resilience so deep that it becomes who you are. Consistency transforms effort into identity. Most people underestimate consistency because it doesn't feel flashy. They want the big wins right here, the overnight transformation, the instant result. But what they don't realize is that the small, consistent actions compound into massive results over time. Every rep you put in is a brick. Every disciplined choice is another brick. Every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you're laying brick after brick, building something unshakable. One brick doesn't look like much, but stack thousands of them right here, and you've built a fortress. That's how champions operate. They aren't chasing quick highs. They're building fortresses of strength, discipline, and mentality through relentless consistency. Right here. Consistency is what makes you trustworthy to yourself. If you only act when you feel motivated, you can't rely on yourself. You'll never know when you'll quit, when you'll slack off, when you'll cut corners. But when you're consistent, you build a track record with yourself. You look back and see proof that you've shown up every single time, and that proof becomes confidence. It's not arrogance, it's earned belief. Right here, you don't wonder if you'll make it because you know your consistency will carry you there. That's why champions walk with certainty. They're not guessing, they're not hoping, they're not wishing. They know their consistency has already decided the outcome. The real test of consistency comes when it's boring. Anyone can give effort when it's exciting, when the crowd is cheering, when the goal is fresh in their mind, but when the hype fades, when the work feels repetitive, when nobody's watching, that's when consistency matters most. Champions embrace the monotony. Here, they understand that greatness is hidden in the boring reps, the unseen hours, the quiet discipline. They don't need applause to keep working. They don't need recognition to stay committed. They train, they grind. They show up because they know consistency is the difference between temporary effort and permanent success. Consistency also separates the amateurs from the professionals. An amateur treats effort like an event. They show up big once in a while. A professional treats effort like a lifestyle. They show up every day no matter what. Right here. That's why professionals keep improving while amateurs stay stuck. It's not about who can work the hardest for one day. It's about who can sustain the work for years. Right here, consistency compounds the effort between you and everyone else becomes impossible to close. Another thing about consistency is that it makes failure irrelevant. If you're consistent, failure doesn't stop you, right? It just becomes part of the process. You don't quit when you stumble. You keep showing up. And over time, the failures get buried under the mountain of consistent effort. That's why champions don't fear failure. Right here, they know one loss doesn't define them because they're in it for the long game. Their consistency will eventually drown out the setbacks, and the world will only see the results of their relentless dedication. Right here, consistency also teaches patience. In a world addicted to speed, to instant results, to quick gratification, champions understand that real strength takes time. They don't rush the process, they respect it. Here, They trust that if they keep putting in the work, the results will come. That patience builds mental toughness because waiting while working requires faith. Right here, it requires believing in the process even when you don't see progress yet. That's another layer of strength that only consistency can give you. Look at the greatest athletes, bodybuilders, fighters, leaders, and entrepreneurs. What they all have in common isn't just talent, it's consistency. Ronnie Coleman himself didn't build his legendary physique overnight. It took years of showing up, years of training when tired, years of eating right, years of staying disciplined when nobody was watching. He didn't just train hard once, he trained hard every single day. That's what made him great. The body follows consistency. The mind follows consistency. Success follows consistency. Consistency also builds momentum. At first, showing up feels hard. You have to force yourself. You have to fight against resistance. You have to push through laziness. But the more consistent you are, the more automatic it becomes. Habits form, the resistance weakens, the path feels smoother. Consistency creates rhythm, and rhythm creates flow. Suddenly, what once felt impossible becomes second nature, not because it got easier, but because you trained yourself to show up no matter what. But make no mistake, consistency is not easy. That's why it's so rare. Right here, it requires sacrifice. It requires saying no to distractions. It requires prioritizing long-term goals over short-term comfort. Consistency means doing the right thing when it's inconvenient, choosing the grind when relaxation is tempting, staying disciplined when excuses sound logical. That's why consistency is the real strength. It requires strength of will, strength of discipline, strength of vision. Here, it requires a strength most people don't have, which is why most people never reach their full potential. Consistency is what transforms effort into mastery. One day of practice won't make you a master. One workout won't build your dream body. One day of discipline won't rewire your mind, but years of consistency will. Every rep sharpens your skill. Every session builds your foundation. Here, every day of commitment takes you closer to mastery. Champions aren't born masters. They become masters through relentless repetition, through consistent practice, until excellence becomes automatic. Here, consistency is also contagious. When people see you show up day after day, they're inspired. Your consistency becomes a standard. It becomes proof of what's possible. Right here, it raises the bar, not only for you, but for everyone around you. That's why leaders are consistent, because they know their actions speak louder than words. Consistency sets an example that motivates others more than any speech ever could. Consistency requires vision, because without a clear reason why, you won't keep going. The goal fuels the consistency right here, and the consistency brings the goal to life. Champions tie their consistency to a bigger purpose, something beyond the moment. That purpose keeps them anchored when it's hard, when it's boring, when it's lonely. Their consistency isn't random. It's tied to who they want to become. At the end of the day, consistency is strength because it's the bridge between potential and reality. Potential is useless without consistent action. Here, dreams are meaningless without consistent execution. Motivation will get you started. Talent will give you an advantage, but consistency will finish the race. That's why champions train themselves to be consistent above all else, because they know consistency is what truly separates those who wish from those who win. Right here, mental toughness turns pain into power, because pain is something every single person on this planet has to face, but not everyone knows how to use it. Pain is universal, but power is not. Right here, the difference lies in what you do with the pain, how you interpret it, how you process it, how you carry it. Some people let pain break them. Some people let pain define them, but champions let pain refine them. They understand that pain is not the end, it's the beginning of growth. Pain is not a punishment, it's a tool. Pain is not weakness leaving the body. Right here, it's strength entering if you're willing to hold on long enough to let it transform you. That transformation doesn't happen automatically. It happens through mental toughness. Mental toughness is what flips the script. You can do something right here. It's what takes the worst moments of your life and turns them into the fuel that drives you further than you ever thought possible. The truth is that pain is inevitable. You can't live a meaningful life without it. Physical pain, from pushing your body, emotional pain from setbacks, mental pain from doubts and failures, it all comes for you eventually. But suffering is optional, and that's where mental toughness comes in. Toughness is the decision that pain will not be wasted. Toughness is looking pain in the face and saying, you're not here to destroy me, you're here to build me. Without that toughness, pain just eats at you. It drains you, it makes you quit. With toughness, pain becomes energy, pain becomes a lesson, pain becomes a sharp edge that carves out the strongest version of yourself. Think about lifting weights. Every rep hurts. Ready? Every heavy set burns. Every muscle screams for you to stop. That's pain. But when you stay mentally tough and push through, that pain forces the muscle to grow. Without the pain, there is no growth. The same is true in life. Here, challenges hurt, losses hurt, rejection hurts, failure hurts, but Mental toughness turns that pain into a signal. This is where growth is happening. This is where strength is being built. Champions don't run from that signal. Pain, they lean into it. They understand that pain is not a barrier, it's a bridge. Mental toughness doesn't deny pain. It doesn't pretend it isn't real. It acknowledges the pain, but refuses to let it have control. Right here, pain says stop, toughness says keep going. Pain says you're weak, toughness says you're learning. Pain says give up, toughness says rise up. That inner conversation is where transformation happens. Here, most people lose that conversation because they let pain have the final word. Champions win that conversation because they've trained their mind to reinterpret pain as power. They condition themselves to find meaning in pain. Right here, to see it as progress, to use it as proof that they're pushing beyond their comfort zone. Mental toughness also gives you perspective. When you're tough, right here, you understand that pain is temporary, but the strength it creates is permanent. You realize that discomfort doesn't last, but quitting does. You understand that the pain you feel today will become the pride you feel tomorrow. Without that perspective, pain feels unbearable, but with it, pain becomes manageable. Champions carry that perspective into every challenge, and it allows them to outlast the pain until the breakthrough comes. Here, another thing about pain is that it reveals who you are. Anyone can smile when life is easy. Anyone can stay disciplined when there's no resistance. Anyone can feel confident when things are going their way. But when the pain hits, when your body is exhausted, when your mind is doubting, when your heart is heavy, that's when the real you shows up. Mental toughness is what ensures that the real you is strong, unshakable. Right here, relentless is what allows you to keep moving forward when the weaker version of you would have quit. Pain also builds empathy and wisdom when paired with mental toughness. Weakness makes people bitter, right here, but toughness makes people better. When you're tough enough to face your pain, you also learn to understand the pain of others. You learn lessons about resilience, about perspective, about gratitude. Here, you stop taking the easy moments for granted because you know how hard the hard moments were. That wisdom gives you power not just over your own life, but as an influence to others. Right here, people respect those who've been through pain and refuse to fold because they know that strength is real, it's earned. Mental toughness turns pain into fuel. When the body hurts, toughness says, good, that means we're building. When life knocks you down, toughness says, good, that means I have another chance to rise. Every setback becomes motivation. Every scar becomes a reminder of survival. Here, every painful memory becomes energy to push harder. Champions don't waste pain, they recycle it into momentum. They take what was meant to stop them and turn it into the very thing that propels them forward. Here, there's also a scientific truth behind this. Pain is just a signal sent to the brain, and the brain decides how to interpret it. That means your mentality literally shapes your experience of pain. The tougher your mind, right here, the more you can endure, the more you can handle without breaking. Endurance, athletes, fighters, soldiers, bodybuilders, they all push beyond normal pain thresholds because their minds are trained to handle it. Right here, they've taught themselves to see pain not as an enemy, but as part of the process. That's how they accomplish what seems superhuman. Their minds transformed pain into power long before their bodies showed the results. Right here, the process of building mental toughness is not glamorous. It's long, it's grinding, it's often lonely. It comes from putting yourself in tough situations and refusing to run away. It comes from saying yes to challenges that scare you. It comes from embracing the pain of failure, of criticism, of rejection, and deciding to rise above it instead of letting it crush you. Every time you do, right here, your mind gets tougher, and the next time pain comes, you're stronger, you're more prepared, you're more dangerous. That's how champions are made. Mental toughness also redefines pain as part of your identity. You stop seeing yourself as a victim of pain and start seeing yourself as someone forged by it. The story in your head changes. Instead of saying, this pain is ruining me, you start saying, here, this pain is shaping me. That shift is powerful because identity drives behavior. If you believe you're someone who rises through pain, you'll keep rising no matter how bad it gets. That's how champions think. Right here, pain is also the price of admission for greatness. Nobody gets to the top without paying that price. The hours of training, the sacrifices, the failures, the losses, all of it is painful here. But the ones who reach the top are the ones who accepted that pain was part of the journey. Mental toughness lets you accept the price and pay it willingly. Right here, knowing that what you're building on the other side is worth far more. The beauty of mental toughness is that it makes pain predictable. You stop being surprised by it, you stop fearing it. You expect it, you welcome it right here, you even chase it because you know every time pain shows up, progress isn't far behind. While others avoid pain and stay the same, you face pain and evolve. Pain becomes a compass pointing toward your growth. Here, the areas that hurt the most are usually the areas that need the most work, and champions know that. They don't hide from those areas, they attack them, and the result is transformation. Hey, mental toughness also ensures that pain doesn't get the final say. Pain might slow you down, but it won't stop you. Pain might knock you down, but it won't keep you there. Pain might whisper that you can't right here, but toughness roars back that you will, that inner strength, that refusal to surrender, that ability to keep moving forward through the fire. That's where real power is born. Right here, that's why the people with the toughest minds often carry the most power, because they've been through the most pain and they refuse to let it break them. Pain will test your patience, your willpower, your faith, your discipline, but mental toughness makes sure you come out stronger every time. It's the shield that keeps pain from destroying you, and it's the hammer that turns pain into something useful. Without toughness, right here, pain is just suffering. With toughness, pain is a stepping stone. The choice is yours every time pain shows up, and champions make the choice to use it, to turn it, to transform it into power.